game is over. With a shot blocked. Everly in front for Schwartz. They score! Hey, hey! What do you say? Ground early. Now the cross out to Noor. What a save by Fry!
Seattle sports fans, what's going on? We're back with another episode of the Seattle sports scene. Last episode, we talked about the Seattle Mariners and their push for the playoffs right now. Their push to hopefully take the division from the Houston Astros. This episode, though, we're going to be focusing on the Seattle Seahawks. It's our first episode since coming back about the Seahawks. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty last week and didn't get that episode out. Coming off of a week one loss to the 49ers, the Seahawks have a dominant win against Pittsburgh Steelers, which we absolutely love to see, and we're here to share our thoughts about that game. And more. So as always, we are your hosts. I am That Kraken Fan, and with me is Seattle Sports Season. Big Seahawks game on Sunday. Big win. How are you feeling after that game?
Having a good offense will give you a very high ceiling and also a very low floor.
Mm-hmm.
However, having a great defense will give you a very low floor and a slightly less high ceiling. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing with the Seahawks. The defense did everything they could to keep this in this game. The first half, a little bit rough from Sam Darnold. You saw kind of some of those struggles that have prevented him from being like a truly elite QB in the National Football League throughout his career. Some bad reads, some underthrown balls that lead to interceptions. However, the defense stands strong. They hold to field goals despite good field position for the Steelers. And in the second half, the offense just found their rhythm and the defense continued to just lock the Steelers down. Kenneth Walker had another massive game despite limited touches. I think it's interesting, again, how they're managing him. In this game, just 13 carries. Zach Charbonnet had 15. And the night and day difference between Charbonnet and K9 this game was insane. K9 had 13 carries for 105 yards on 8.1 yards per carry and 1 touchdown. The offense also averaged about 5.8 yards per play when he was in, compared to Zach Charbonnet, who had 15 carries for 10 yards for 0.7 yards per carry. Longest carry of 6. Thoughts on the two running backs' performances? Because a little thought here just before you add your piece, but
yeah, sure.
Clint Kubiak's offense is very run heavy. He wants to get the running backs involved. You see that with 29 carries to 33 passing attempts. And so it's going to be vital that both of these guys can get hot and stay hot for the Seahawks offense to really perform at its highest. So it's really interesting to me when I see a game like this where one running back has a large amount of success and the other one struggled. Because to be honest, last week it was kind of the opposite. Against the Niners, Zach Charbonnet had a really good game. K9 had a pretty average game. And this week it was swapped. So what are your thoughts on the running backs so far?
Yeah, it's a really weird situation that I find difficult to understand. Is like to take your words exactly, the night and day difference from Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker from both games. I mean, you look at Walker against the Niners, 10 carries for 20 yards with an average of 2 yards per carry. His longest run was 8 yards. Like, that's not a good game. Not a good game at all. And Charbonnet did better. I would argue his game wasn't great either. He goes for 12 carries for 47 yards with a just under 4 yards average and 1 touchdown. Both of those are Charbonnet's, somewhat of a mediocre performance, but it was better than Kenneth Walker noticeably. And Walker just didn't look like he found any sort of groove. And I feel like part of that could be accredited to the fact that he kept getting run straight down the middle and the offensive line just wasn't finding holes for him. But then on the flip side, you had Charbonnet running to the outside and finding at least enough room to be able to pick up a couple of 3 to 5 yard gains to get them up to 47 yards total on that game. But then you go to the Steelers and you play a team that's also defensively, especially riddled with injuries. but still has a very mean front line and linebacker core.
Yes.
And you look at Kenneth Walker's difference, only 3 more carries, but he racks up 105 yards. He gets a touchdown. He's averaging 8.1 yards per carry. And it's just crazy to see the difference there. And then Charbonnet, 15 carries for only 10 yards. Just did not have a good game, did not go anywhere. So part of me wonders if it's just the chemistry of the offensive line that day. Another part of me wonders if Kubiak's running Charbonnet on a certain system and then Walker on a certain system, and maybe you're getting a little bit of a difference in result there based off of where they're being run to, on what plays, and then also just based off of what the defense is scheming up to do. But it's definitely confusing to look at both of those stats and just see the complete difference between the two of them, and then just see Walker just take off here against the Steelers. And he was fun to watch, man. It's awesome that the Seahawks have been honestly blessed with really good running backs for many, many years, minus a small little stint of, Thomas Rawls, Christian Michael, etc. You've had really, really good running backs in the mix for many, many years, and it's great to see Walker continue to be awesome.
It's really interesting because they're almost going with a per drive by drive basis.
Yeah.
Even at that touchdown that kind of sealed the game that Kenneth Walker had on the 3rd and long on the goal. That was his first touch of the drive. That was Zach Charbonnet's drive up until that point. He had like 6 touches, and then they put K9 in at the very end, and he's able to punch it in. I really think that's just to keep both guys fresh. I think they have a lot of faith in both of those guys. While we're talking about the running backs too, though, shout out to Halani, who had one of the most crazy, but one of the best football plays I've seen. Just the knowledge of the rules, the hustle to get down the field before that ball goes out of bounds on the kickoff. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Seahawks are doing a kickoff. Jason Myers kind of puts this weird knuckle. Also, shout out Jason Myers for just a fantastic kick.
That was a beautiful kick.
It takes a weird bounce. The Steelers rookie, I forget what his name is, Johnson, he tips the ball, and he doesn't realize, he thinks the ball is just going to go out of the back of the end zone. He's frustrated with himself for dropping it. He just starts walking forward towards the sideline, and Halani sprints down the field. He dives on the ball. It ended up being called a Seahawks touchdown because of the touch and the recovery in the end zone. And he is your 3rd string running back. So just an amazing hustle play. That is literally what, I don't know if you've ever seen the meme, but it's like what do glue guys do? Or like people talk a lot about like the back end of a baseball roster, but
Yep.
That's what you want out of your special teams, man. You just want guys that are hustle, guys that love the game, guys that you just want to impress your coaches. And Halani just made a fantastic football play, and I'm just really happy for him. He deserves it. He's a great player, and to just have a play like that just makes the fruit of all your labors kind of showing, because as a guy who's kind of buried in the depth chart right now, he hasn't really gotten any touches. It's huge to make a play on special teams like that to help your team win a game.
And even as a rookie, too, Caleb Johnson is the Steelers rookie running back. And to have the ball knowledge to understand and know that's a fumble, it's a live ball, especially with the new kickoff rules and everything, like that was really great heads-up play on Halani's part, which you love to see.
And shout out to the special teams coordinator. I'm blanking on his name right now, but a fantastic play call, because I know that that's probably something that they've been practicing with Jason Myers for a while now, to break out in a situation like that. So just amazing execution from everybody that was involved.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Looking at this last game against the Steelers, really quick, wanted to talk about the Seahawks face off against a longtime ex-Seahawk, DK Metcalf, who I think the defense did a fairly good job, in my opinion, at locking him down. He does record the only touchdown that the only catching touchdown that the Steelers get in this game. Or wait, was that the only touchdown they got? I'm looking at ESPN and it has it listed as the only touchdown they got, but they got 14. So how is that possible? Regardless, he scores a touchdown for the Steelers. Um, he's held to 3 receptions on 20 yards, and he does get that touchdown. How do you feel about how I know he was mixed up against a couple of our defenders? I know Woolen lined up against him a few times, as well as Job. How do you feel about the defense locking him down, then just locking down the rest of the Steelers' offense, especially in that second half, only allowing 3 points?
Yeah, really big. I've been really impressed by Josh Jobe so far this year.
Oh, yeah.
Just stepping up, especially with Witherspoon out, with the injuries that have been kind of floating around the secondary, because they kind of had Emin Rory as a box safety kind of hybrid player. So to lose him and Witherspoon after week 1, neither of which who are expected to be out for terribly long, but to have him step up like that against DK, I was really impressed. He's still a young kid, but I think he's performing really well right now. Tariq Woolen is also still playing well. Um, I know a lot of hate was given towards him after the 49ers game, but I thought he kind of bounced back well. I wish he would just stop going for interceptions. Um, because a lot of the time his positioning is not bad. He just slows down and tries to read the ball to pick it rather than just staying with the guy and just deflecting it or just preventing the guy from getting a clear read on the ball. You saw that especially in the 49ers game on that last drive, just misreading of the ball. But I thought the whole defense played fantastic. Byron Murphy probably played his best game
Oh,
of his
yeah.
NFL career. The Seahawks right now are through 2 weeks are generating the most pressure on a 4-man rush of any team in the league. That's just a huge shout out to Mike McDonald and his scheme and the stunts and stuff that Jaron Reed, Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, and DeMarcus Lawrence are running right now. And then also when you drop down Boyan Mafe and Nwosu, really just impressive stuff to generate. I don't remember the last time I saw a Seahawks team generate this much pressure with the 4-man rush. They just looked like they were getting their way with any, like there was uncovered guys on 4-man rushes, and that is just super impressive. Yeah, the defense played fantastic, and they really. Oh, that's what I wanted to shout out Tariq Woolen. He hustled down on another just great football play. Um, on that little dump down screen to Warren that ended up going like 68 yards or something. Tariq Woolen actually hustled all the way down the field and tackled him at the 3-yard line, I think. And that play ended up saving a touchdown, and a couple plays later, I think it was 2 plays later, ends up resulting in a pick in the end zone. One of Rodgers' first picks in the red zone in quite some time. And so he ends up saving 7 points with that tackle. So again, just doing the small stuff is what really impressed me from a lot of the guys this week. I know Sam Darnold didn't have a great game, but we don't really have to focus on that because we got the win. What are your thoughts from the defense?
Stellar, as usual. It's been great to see them play well, and you've held both your opponents to under 20 points in the first 2 weeks of football, which I think is great. And you know, the Niners team, you could argue, is definitely injured and everything, but you know, they still found a way to beat you, even though it wasn't really on the defense. But you know, Purdy had a fairly good game. Christian McCaffrey had a good game as well. But or excuse me, are players they have on the team to obviously help them get enough points. But I've been very impressed with the defense. I think what impresses me the most is, except for the one run that the Steelers had, which actually, come to think of it, was it a special teams play? No, Rodgers had a little dump off pass that went for 60 something yards down the field.
About with Tariq
yeah,
Woolen.
yeah, exactly. So that play, obviously, I think all season long really has been the only play I can think of right now that was really just broken tackling, which is something that I think the Mariners defense has struggled with in years past, is failing to be able to pull out a tackle on plays where you just, so many guys have someone wrapped up with 2 arms and they just let them spin right out of it. So, you know, they've done great. The depth at in the secondary has been phenomenal. Obviously, we're just shouting out Josh Jobe. Um, I think I think it's been just great to see the defense play the way they've been playing.
Yeah, and again, the injuries to Witherspoon and Emin Rory both don't
Mm.
look that bad. They didn't place Emin Rory on the IR, I don't believe, as of the last time I saw. Um, and Witherspoon obviously was doubtful going into the game, but it looks like he should probably play this weekend against the Saints. Kind of turning our attention towards the Saints. That's this week's matchup. Not a very good football team. They started 0-2 with losses to the Cardinals and the 49ers. Now, Spencer Rattler did have an opportunity to win both of those games, and unfortunately, the drives just didn't end how he wanted to. It's a young quarterback. I think that our pressure is going to cause an absolute headache for Spencer Rattler this week. They do have some other talented players. Obviously, Alvin Kamara, in his older age, is still a very, very talented running back and receiving back. They have Chris Olave, who had a really good rookie season, then kind of a downer season. I don't want to say downer, but just a little bit less than his rookie season. Um, Last year, he struggled with injuries after 2 great years, but they definitely have some pieces. Um, but overall, this is a team that if the Seahawks want to really start building momentum, this is a team that you kind of just got to come out and destroy.
I mean, especially seeing as both of your division opponents had beat them, the poor Saints had to start their season playing 3/4 of the NFC West, which is kind of crazy to
Yeah.
think. But yeah, it's a
Also,
game
both those
that
games were home games for the Saints. They lost 2 straight home games to start the year, so this will be
we're
their
home
first
for.
road test of the year
Okay,
too.
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely a game that you need to win, not just for the sake of your record, but I feel like also for the sake of like keeping up the rest of your division in record, but also keeping up the rest of your division in just beating opponents that like it is not necessary to lose to those opponents, if that makes sense. That's the way I'm phrasing it. Um, like the Saints are obviously one of those teams that, like you say, have a lot of pieces that are like they got some good players in here. I know their tight end, I forget his first name, but Johnson. He's having a great season so far. Looks like a great player. Olave is obviously great. Just echoing your thoughts right now, apparently. But it's a team that I think the defense is going to be applying a lot of pressure to defensively on the line, which will drive Rattler crazy. And then obviously, I think the secondary is going to lock in. I think it would be a great game. Seeing the opponent that we have, I think it would be a great game to try to slowly ease Emin Wari and Witherspoon back into the game, because I saw that both of them are able to play, or both of them are hopeful to play week 3. Um, it would be very interesting to see if we could kind of slowly ease them back into some play in this game against an opponent where hopefully you're going in with a pretty confident feeling that you're going to win this game.
Yeah, I think the big key for me through 2 games, Spencer Rattler's thrown 0 interceptions, and the Saints defense has forced 0 interceptions.
Which is
I think
insane.
if we see the Sam Darnold that we saw week 1 against the Niners, where he didn't turn the ball over, mixed with kind of that performance that we saw in the second half, I think as long as we can win that interception battle, hopefully we can. The pressure will force Rattler into some bad decisions. Um, he is a quarterback that likes to move. He likes to scramble a little bit. He likes to throw on the run. Um, and so it's going to be hard to make him uncomfortable, but if we can do that, that will be great. And then we just cannot turn the ball over. Do not let Saints early get in rhythm because we turn the ball over and it allowed them to score some easy points. Make them earn their drives, make them earn their yards, and capitalize on any mistakes that you might any mistakes that your defense might force the Saints to make, and I think you'll be really set up for success. This is a game where you don't really have to perform your best to win, but you just have to do enough to not lose. And I think turnovers will help a lot with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just hoping it's not a game where we're sitting here feeling like, why can't we just put this team away? And hopefully, if it's feeling like that, I'm hopeful that it's going to be one of those games where it's pretty obvious and apparent that we're the better team. We're just going to pull it out in the end. Like you said, you should not have to give your all to beat this Saints team. Stay healthy, play good enough to beat this opponent. Look forward to the next week after.
For sure. That's all my thoughts on the Seahawks for this week.
I think that's all from me as well. Great game against the Steelers.
One more.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Huge shout out to JSN, who in last year had 3 100-yard games all season, and then had 2 100-yard games in the first 2 weeks of this season. Also, a way better game from Cooper Kupp last week. Just got targeted a lot more, and then also had a lot better performance, I thought, just in terms of yards after catch, also just not dropping the ball like we saw him very uncharacteristically do in week 1. So shout out to those guys. Horton had 1 catch for 1 touchdown. So wide receiver room, keep it up. Continue to get those guys involved as much as you can. And I think a lot of good stuff will happen. JSN looks like a top 10 receiver in the league right now, without a doubt.
Yeah. I wish I had put money on that because I was calling it coming into the season. I think he's going to finish a top 3 receiver, which I know may sound like a bold statement, but I'm pretty confident in it.
Hey, if you look around right now, Justin Jefferson doesn't have a quarterback.
No.
JJ McCarthy's really been frustrating him. Jamar Chase just lost Burrow, so that's going to be a huge blow to his season.
Notable though that JJ McCarthy did go out with an injury, so it's going to be. I forget who their backup is, but he'll be coming into play because JJ McCarthy got hurt.
So a lot of those guys, they don't really have like guys that they're throwing it to. And so you might see some new guys kind of pop up as big receivers this year, kind of JSN. I think Malik Neighbors is going to have a huge year with Russ under center.
Absolutely. Hey, shout out to Russell Wilson. Shout out to Russell Wilson for a phenomenal game.
Let's end it on that.
Yeah.
Russ has still got it. I saw that the vintage moon ball to Neighbors. I miss watching that. I think you guys know we're both. I mean, I guess I can't speak for both of us, but I still love Russell Wilson.
Oh yeah.
I hate the way it ended, but I still root for the guy and can't wait for him to inevitably come back and retire in Seattle. So I root for him. I want nothing but success for him, and to see him ball out the way that he did this weekend against the Cowboys was really just awesome to see.
Yeah, I love Russ so much, and he was my quarterback growing up. My parents, my mom at least, grew up a 49ers fan and always tells me about growing up watching Joe Montana, and I tell other people he's my Joe Montana. Like that was my quarterback growing up, and he will forever be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in my mind. Even though it's a little bit of an overstatement, watching 2011 to 2018, 19 Russell Wilson will forever be one of the greatest things of all time. For
sure, I agree.
Yep. Well, on that fun note, let's end this episode here about the Seahawks. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your love and support. If you guys have any questions or any suggestions, information, anything, please feel free to reach out to us anywhere on YouTube, on Spotify, or on Instagram. Find us on either of our handles, That Kraken Fan Seattle Sports Scene, or on this podcast page. But again, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.
Peace.